is that I need to hit the off switch. Is anybody feeling calm right now? Yeah. You know, by the way, the music was by Lady Smith, Black Mambazo, and Josh Groban, two of my very favorites. I love that. So really this talk is an invitation to pay attention to the opportunity to slow down, to calm down, to have a soft, easy approach to life. And part of that is simply becoming aware of the overwhelming busyness that we all experience. Anybody in this room not experiencing overwhelming busyness from time to time? I think not. We're all busy. And so much of us, much of the times we're sort of stuck on that galloping horse, aren't we? We've got too much to do, not enough time, places to go, people to see, all of that. And so we're frantically galloping through life, and sometimes when we're not paying attention, we're not even sure where we're going. We just are. Have you ever had that experience when you're driving in the car and you finally get someplace and you go, how did I get here? You know what I'm talking about? We're so distracted by the busyness of our experience that we're not even paying attention to the essentials of driving a car to get where we're going. I think that's kind of scary. I think that's a little bit frightening. So the problem is, when we're not aware of how busy our life gets, guess what happens? The quality of our experience of our human walk in the world suffers. That's the problem. The quality starts to be a little bit shaky. We're not having as much fun as we used to have or think we used to have. We're not having that sense of well-being that we would like to have, you see. And I like what our authors tell us. We're working with a number of different books this month. This is how we're spending our lives. This is it. There's no dress rehearsal. So if we're on a galloping horse and we're not sure where we're going, this is it. This is it. The happily ever after, one of our authors tells us, the happily ever after, guess what? It's right now. It isn't somewhere else. This is it. So if your life doesn't look like happily ever after, guess what? Guess what? We get to take a look at how it's going and make some choices right now. Pay close attention, because the moment that we're experiencing is the moment that we've got. This is it. It's the entire work of Eckhart Tolle, the now moment, you see. I love this. The purpose of today is today. The purpose of this moment is this moment. The purpose of your being in this place right now is being in this place right now. To me, that's pretty interesting, because what I know is that I'm always sort of like in process getting somewhere else, right? I'm always sort of thinking about where I'm going to be when I'm done with this thing. What comes next? This is sort of the transition period between whatever happened then and what's going to be happening in the future. And guess what? I'm so busy with that distraction that the present moment sort of slips by. Like Llewellyn Vaughan-Lee would say, it slips through our fingers and runs down the street. You see? You see? Because, I don't know, what? Somewhere else, something else is more important to me than this moment? Well, then when I get there, guess what? When I get to that moment, I'm looking for the... This is the invitation to hit that busy off switch so that we can become fully present, fully centered, and sort of step aside from this crazy kind of more life, right? This pedal to the metal way of being in the world. I am a classic example of that pedal to the metal way of being in the world. And what I know about that is, if I don't take time to step back and relax into my life, even if it's just mentally, I'm in trouble. So think about this. Our author tells us we want more money, more stuff, more adventure, more activity, right? more events, more dates, more whatever, more communication, more information. Oh my. Anybody got information overload? More information, more email, more texting, more Facebook. The other day my mom and I were driving in the car and she said, oh, I forgot my phone. She got a new iPhone a couple of months ago and she's doing great with it. And she said, I forgot my phone. Got to go back and get my phone. And she says, I can't believe it. Now this is an amazing thing because Mom's going to celebrate her 90th birthday here pretty soon. And she started out with a very different form of communication when she was a child and up through her adulthood, right? And so she went from the party line to Instagram or whatever you call it. She can see her grandson, her new great-grandson, just like that. They can be anywhere. They can be in Lake Havasu or wherever that thing was, Bass Lake, and she can see her grandson sitting in the sun in his little doodad, right? This is amazing. And there are some great benefits to these kinds of advances. I love these advances. It helps me prepare for my work because I get to pull in the resources of all of the smart people in the world and sift through them and become, more informed, more aware. I get to know stuff. Some of the stuff going on in the world right now, I don't really want to know. Some of it's very, very icky. Some of it's painful. Some of it's really sad. But the thing is, right now, we live in a very busy, very noisy, 24/7 world, don't we? All of us. We all do. Can be awesome, but it also has a downside to it, Because in addition to more communication, more whatever, we also have more exhaustion. I realized now that before I go to bed at night, I used to sit and read a book or do something. You know what I do? I read BBC to see what happened in the world, and then I can't sleep. Because the stuff that's going on in the world is troublesome, you see. So we've got more exhaustion, more depletion, more stress, more tension. And this is the invitation to find a way to hit that off switch so that we don't crowd out our creativity. We don't crowd out our human relationships. We don't spend all our time, someplace else besides being very present with what is. We don't sacrifice the time that we have to contemplate, to meditate, to be creative, to simply sit in nature and be present. All of that requires hitting the off switch, getting quiet enough. Now that doesn't mean that you can't be busy and quiet at the same time. I know when Mom folds the towels for Common Ground, you know that we have durable hand towels in our restrooms. I know that when Mom sits down to fold the towels for Common Ground, that's busy, but it also is a quiet time. Do you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that we can't do anything. It means that it's about quieting our minds, quieting our bodies, quieting our experience with it, so that we have this opportunity to kind of replenish, to fill back up. And if we're not doing that, guess what? Our bodies suffer, our emotions suffer, we're more reactive to what goes on around us. I love what the author of The Little Prince, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry says. He says, sometimes we spend our time busily hammering away and lose track of what we're building and why. We are so busy getting there, hammering, building, whatever, that we forget why we're doing it. Anybody relate to that? We lose sight of the meaning of our experience. And so the antidote to all of this is a spiritual practice that is practiced in most traditions in one way or another, called by many things. I'm calling it mindfulness this morning. You can call it contemplation. You can call it contemplative prayer. You can call it whatever you want. But mindfulness, being fully present in the moment with whatever's going on, is the antidote to this busyness that we're also stuck in. So that when we eat a tangerine, we eat a tangerine. We're not just, I remember I was in a class once with somebody who said they went to a favorite takeout food place and got her very favorite food, brought it home, set it up, got the television all ready, and was ready to sit down and enjoy the television program, and was so busy and so unconscious that she's looking around and go, who ate my food? Who ate my food? We get so distracted, we're not even present with those kinds of things, you see. We're not even present with that. So we got to pay attention to what's going on around us, within us, our thoughts, and take the opportunity to quiet our minds so that we're really, really present. If we're not present to life, all kinds of stuff starts happening. Those of you who are in helping careers understand the necessity of being very, very present. It's what our team is doing, our InReach team, this compassionate presence with people, just listening, just being present, not being distracted, being fully present and right there with people. It takes this conscious attention to actually be present with the sacredness of life. If we're not present, we're missing the God stuff. We're missing that piece. So, this is really a how-to talk, because I've been using this book, this Do Less book. And what he says is, we got to get off the galloping horse. How do we do that? How do we do that? So, I'm going to give you a few tools, a few ideas, a few suggestions, and then all you have to do is decide if you are interested in putting any of these things into practice. So here we go. Make every moment count. Make every moment count. Pay attention to every moment, and that requires pausing, stopping, reflecting, being fully present with one thing at a time. Now, most of us multitask, yes? We're always multitasking. But if we can bring ourselves fully present and focus on one thing at a time, it's going to really bring us to that place of being able to hit the off switch and pay attention to what's going on. And then watch out for your reactions and the distractions. So yesterday, I had an experience. See, anytime we're doing a knee-jerk reaction, anytime we're doing that Shempa thing where we catch ourselves going, y'all know what I mean. You've got those triggers, those push me buttons going on. So yesterday, my granddaughter her father, due to some domestic violence issues, is subject to supervised visitations when he sees his daughter. And I'm the exchange person. So we get there, and it didn't go quite right. And the grandparents were there, and it wasn't a good thing. And I found myself doing one of those knee-jerk reactions because I wasn't present. I was so distracted by the problem and so out of focus with my own composure that instead of doing what I normally do, which is take a breath, breathe into the experience, and be really present with it, I panicked. And I started just, you know what they say, when you're in fear or you're angry, you're stupid. And there I was. I just got stupid in the moment, and all this stuff started happening. And normally I come from this place of, I don't need to defend anything. I know who I am, I know what's going on, and I don't need to defend anything. And the grandmother did this thing, and I found myself reacting and defending. And I thought, after the fact, and I felt sick, and Janie goes, Grandma, your voice was breaking up. And I said, yes, it was, Janie. Grandma was nervous. But what I'm saying is, when we're not real present and we're not composed and we're not hitting the off switch right in the middle of the moment, it's all God is that moment. Today, in my mind, I'm going, I wish I would have. I didn't need to defend that. I know the truth. I know who I am. I know who this whole thing, I know this. Why do I feel like I needed to defend it? And I really did contemplate the experience, and what I got was, you were not present. You were distracted. You forgot to breathe. You bought right into the panic and the fear of this thing. You forgot to breathe and give yourself that space that allowed you, in this case, difficult, but to see the divinity of the situation. I had trouble seeing the divinity, and I just was trying to manage it. You know what I mean? Ever have to manage something, and after you're done, you go, I could have done that in a different way. I got a headache. Janie was going, boy, poor grandma, you know. I upset her. I didn't upset her. They upset her, but I could have alleviated the pain. Do you know what I'm saying? If I would have handled it differently, I could have ended the suffering right there, but I just got stuck in it. So what I'm saying here is we got to be able to unhook from that stuff. This is where we hit that off switch, where we hit the off switch of the panic and the fear and the busyness and the oh my gosh, and calm ourselves enough to be present with whatever that thing is. You've all got your own things. I know you do. You know, we can have a thing when we're in a line waiting to check out at the express lane and somebody's got 25 items and they're only supposed to have 5, and then stuff can happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. So here's your invitation. This is how to do it, and this is what our author tells us. First of all, take time to rest. Rest your body, rest your mind, rest physically, Mom, rest mentally. Give yourself a break, because this is where we get to reflect on the experience, you see. David, go to the next slide for me. Take a nap. Take a nap. You see these things behind me? You know what these are? Nap pods. And you know what? Guess what? In Australia, just about any place you go, you can go and get a nap pod. Google nap pods for their employees. They have to go use a nap pod. This idea, aren't they funny? Can you imagine? This idea of taking a nap, calming the body, calming the mind, is really important. And they're finding this out all over the world. You can even buy yourself a nap pod if you want. And this is just one example. I just think it's weird, but I can see the benefit. Relax the body, relax the mind. We're going to be more efficient if we're in a business setting. We're going to be more calm, composed. This is the deal. Nap pods. Well, we probably don't want to go get one, but David, go to the next slide for me, please. Pause right in the middle of whatever you're doing. Pause in the middle of the activity. If it gets busy and crazy, like my experience did with the handoff, this where it's like, oh my gosh, now what, now what? And this is the thing I forgot to tell you. I'm very intuitive, like hugely intuitive. And so as we're driving there, I told Jane, I said, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. We're going to have the situation is going to be like this. I know it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. I knew it was going to be the way it was. I already knew it. That is an even worse situation for my not being present. I knew before we got there what I was facing. That's even worse, and I still wasn't present. So what we have to do is, right in the middle of the chaos, right in the middle of whatever that thing is that's going on, we've got to have the capacity to breathe. Okay, I can do this. All right, let me get clear here. Let me calm my mind. Let me get really present with this thing, whatever it is. Let me get really present with my life. Let me get really present with my bank book. Let me get really present with my, with my housework, with my whatever. Let me get really present with this. Let me breathe into this and give it some space before I react, before I move forward. And then, this is one of the invitations. This is the third idea. Reduce what is unnecessary. Simplify your life. Simplify your life. Many of those people in this room, and myself included, are at that stage of life where we're downsizing. You know why? We're done being busy. We're done taking care of a bunch of stuff. Isn't that the truth? We're done taking care of big houses and real complex stuff. We're ready to downsize. Get rid of the unnecessary stuff. If you're overcommitted with whatever, bring it in. Get rid of everything that is not in one way meaningful to you or providing you with a healthy way to be in your life experience. Just get rid of it. Let it go. Downsize. Get rid of all the extraneous stuff that you don't need. Simplify. I think that's a great, great suggestion. Be completely present. And this is where this idea of don't rush through this moment to get somewhere else, to get to some other more important place, to get to something that's more important than whatever's going on right now. This right now is really important. When you go out and get your food at the potluck, that's going to be really important. When you visit with each other, be fully present. That's going to be really important in that moment. But right now, in this room, in this place, this is what's going on. This is what is happening. It is as it is. You get to whatever that stuff is later, right? That's the idea. Don't rush through whatever's going on in your life in the present moment. You know why? Because you miss it. It's kind of what happened to me with that experience. I was so panicked and busy and trying to rush and figure out how to do it, right, that I couldn't be present with it. Then have an attitude of effortlessness with it. Find the sweet spot. So maybe you don't like, I mentioned last week that all the trees in my backyard are gone and it's really hot. And it's not all that fun being in the backyard trying to get it to be beautiful again. But if I take a mental attitude of hit the off switch to the anger, hit the off switch to the resistance, hit the off switch to the pushing against the river, go with the flow, this is as it is, okay, I'm going to find the sweet spot here with this experience and make my journey through this a beautiful one. Allow myself to just say, okay, no problem, look at this, isn't this great, look, I planted this little bush, look, I moved these rocks over here. No matter what's going on, if we can adopt this attitude of effortlessness around our experience so that we get this sweet spot, and this is where we get composed. We get this composure and this grace. I can do this. I can move through this. I wish I could have, could have done this yesterday in my experience. To have it, okay, this is not going to be a problem. Instead, for a whole block before we got where I dropped my granddaughter off, I was spinning. See, I wasn't going, okay, let's find the sweet spot here. Let's find the grace in this. Let's find the way to be composed and easy with this. Let's be creative with the solution to this problem. Oh no, I was off and running, and it didn't really show up very well. So that's the thing. The benefit to hitting the off switch, to getting sort of centered and recognize that we are always pushing through life, this pedal to the metal sort of way of being in the world. Looking at how we're spending our time, looking at the moment, how it is. The benefit is when we can really be present with it, guess what? We're kinder. We are able to bring forth more love, more patience, more presence. We're able to recover our power and our peace within the experience. It took me many, many hours to recover my power and peace. Had I been more present, I wouldn't have caused the problem for myself that required me to spend time later fixing it, the repair work. Do you know what I'm saying? So if we can be really present with these things and get the peace and the power right on the spot in the moment of the experience, this is an opportunity for us to appreciate all of life. All of our experiences, whether they're icky, whether they're, chaotic, whatever happens. This busyness of life is about letting go of the need for us to be anywhere but where we really are. It's about being fully present. It's all about singing ourselves that lullaby that we heard at the beginning and allowing ourselves to be fully relaxed, fully present, fully calm, fully composed, within whatever is going on in the moment, that calmness. Life may be busy and chaotic all around us. That's the human condition. We're here to experience that. But the divine part of us doesn't have to buy into that. That energy of us that is the presence and power of the divine gets to be centered and calm and peaceful and love the life we're living. And it's not always easy. Thank you for listening. So we hope that you've heard something, seen something.